Oh, all right. So, if you want to just tell me your first name, last name again, please.
George Walker Smith.
Okay. And so, what would you like to tell the conference people?
Well, I was one of those that first 7 years ago started the conference, and I've been sticking with it ever since.
And so, what kind of advice would you give to the attendees? What would you like them to know about?
I told them basically when I moved from back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, out here, I found San Diego as far as people interacting with people almost like I did in my home state of Alabama. There wasn't any togetherness. And I know community could get along very well unless it worked together. So I put my bucket down, helping people get along and making my community and neighborhood better than it was.
And and so, when you started the conference, like, why did you start the conference? Why did you?
Simply because being from the deep south, I know of the great need for people to get along with each other. And that's what the intent of this conference has been.
And like, what would you hope that the people? What do you want them to learn from the conference? What would you hope that they get from it?
I want them to realize that there are good people among all people. There are good neighborhoods, there are bad neighborhoods, there are neighborhoods who get along together, and that is what this conference is all about. Trying to bring people together to make this a better city and make your own community a better community.
Good, good, good. Sorry, let me just move this a little bit here. And I guess lastly, like, do you like were there any challenges when you first started the conference? Any difficulties or things like that?
Oh yeah, there are difficulties. Always with our people, there are difficulties. There are unemployment problems among some people who couldn't get a job at uh, General Dynamics and in school districts. They couldn't get jobs. So yes, there always been problems. That's what you break down.
And and so, as far as the conference, when like, was there anybody who helped you start it? Anyone start the conference with you?
The hardest working guy I ever worked with was Carl. And I'm glad that he, not like Mike, did resign. He's a good, hard-working man.
And so he helped you start the conference and get it
Yeah,
going.
and he has coordinated because up in Mesa, where he works, he has staff to help him more than I have staff to help me.
And when you came from St. Louis originally, or where did you come from?
I was born and reared in Alabama.
And how was that?
For 20 years, I was away from there going to school and ended up out here to start a Presbyterian church. That's how I got here.
And you're a reverend now.
I'm Presbyterian minister. I retired a few years ago.
And what kind of stuff were you doing in the church, or what did you like about the church?
Well, I like the church period because that's where you can get a few people at least and get them on the right track, and they keep you on the right track. But no, I'm a Presbyterian minister.
So, what kind of advice would you give to young people that are starting out that maybe want to get more involved, or want to know more about, like, how, what would you tell them to, like, how would they, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, number one, that's the reason why it's so important that a youngster get involved in this type conference, and a youngster get involved in the whole movement, because right now it's tough. All the killings and shootings, we got to get a hold of that.
And so what do you hope for the future? What is your hope? What is your hope?
My hope for the future is that people can come around and come to San Diego and say, oh, how they love each other.
Any last words? Anything else you want to say to anybody or to the
You know,
conference?
I am very glad Carl is still coordinating this, and that you have replaced my other photographer. For 7 years we worked together, and I hope for 7 more. And luck to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your kind spirit. And I think everyone's going to be really happy to hear from you and see you again.
You seem to be a perfect candidate for this type work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm very humbled. Thank you, sir, very
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
Anytime I can be of assistance to you, let me know.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any last words? Anything else?
No, luck in this new job. Luck to you and me as we develop a relationship like Mike and I did. And hopefully people in San Diego can look and say, San Diego believes in civility.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was.
Yeah, I'm glad to get to know you.
Yeah. Thank you for like I said, taking time out and.
Look, I've been here in San Diego about 50 years.
50 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I came here in 56.
You must have been 5, 7, 10 years old when you got here.
No, I was about 26.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And they've been good years.
So you've
I've
seen a lot of
enjoyed.
changes in San Diego.
Yeah.
Wow. And what are some of the big changes you've seen?
Yeah.
Yeah. You lived in this house for that long, or?
Not almost. I live here 60 years.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. Well, thank you, sir, for everything, for your help. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you.
And if I can help someone get a good photographer,
Oh
I have
yeah.
I have your information.
Yeah, thank you. And again, thank you for taking time. Thank you for having us. I'm gonna definitely